And welcome back. Three the hallway. Tariq Rashad here with Married Man
Ridley
Rob.
Hunter.
Sit your ass down.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Ridley Hunter, and Just John. And we're gonna play a little game called Ridley's Believe It or Not. Ridley's Believe It or Not.
Personally, he's a corny guy.
Believe it or not. So we're gonna start in the NBA. You guys love the NBA. We love it too. Ben Simmons in Philly. Shout out to my boy Chuck. Hope he gets to see this. Big Philly fan out in my boy Chuck at
University.
Pittsburgh, I think. Chuck University. But Ben Simmons informed the Philadelphia 76ers that he no longer wants to be a part of the team. I can't believe it. You believe it?
I hate to say it, but I do believe it. I think him being represented by Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, they have a way of making a way out of no way and getting their main mission accomplished. And then ultimately, outside of Clutch Sports, this is very similar to the James Harden situation that we saw last year when he wanted out of Houston. Granted, he did start the season in Houston, but ultimately, before long, he forced his way to Brooklyn. So I do believe that, Ben Simmons does want out of Philly. Philly is a town where once they don't believe in you, ain't no turning back. You're going to have to go somewhere else. So I definitely do believe that, he wants out of Philly and he will be moved before the trade deadline.
I read a stat that said of all the NBA fan bases, Phillies is the most disgruntled at 29% of their fan base usually wants to know what the hell is going on. And just to touch on how you said Philly fans are, in a sense, unforgiving. Living here in New York, I've become a true person that despises the way New York media goes about their team. So New York fan base has always bothered me, which is why I are fans of teams that usually rival New York teams. But I do know that Philly is crazy. It's crazy out there. I don't know I can't compare it to New York because I'm not from Philly, but I also feel like Ben Simmons kind of FU'd on the way out too. Like he kind of Phil Jackson, New York. The way Phil Jackson kind of left New York with the Frank Nikilia.
What the hell did you just say?
FU pick. And in this sense, I mean, we all knew that Philly was moving him. And I think if he talks to them, remember, he didn't talk to Philly all summer. He didn't get in contact with them all summer. If he talks to them during this type of offseason, he could have been moved. I think he wanted to make sure that Philly hurts because of this. I think, and even I've always thought that after Ben Simmons came into the league, I was really impressed with Ben Simmons when he came into the league, but the lack of wanting to grow as a player always made me feel that Ben Simmons thought he was bigger than what he actually was, or what he actually is, or what I think he thinks he's where he needs to be and he's not there yet, or he is that guy and he's just not that guy when it comes to basketball yet. He's good. He's an all-star. He puts up really good numbers, but impacting winning is so much bigger than that. And he's still young, but even when you say like he's trying to James Harden, you're not no damn James Harden, bro. In my opinion, you're not James Harden. James Harden can force his way out of a situation like that because he was the team. Philly, in a sense, I think can be good with or without Ben Simmons, with or without help from Ben Simmons. Can they be championship contenders? Absolutely not. If they just kept Ben Simmons on some Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio the last year he was there. It was like, we don't know what's going on with him. We're just going to play our games. I think they would still be a good team. And then I also don't know who would take Ben Simmons at what Philly's asking for him for asking of those teams. So all in all, I hear you about Rich Paul and I hear you about Clutch Sports, but at the end of the day, I think Ben Simmons is a lot harder to move, and I think he was really stubborn in what he did to make sure that this is going to be a rough season for Philly.
I'm I'm gonna start with the fans in Philadelphia. I think that Philadelphia fans really love their sports, and they really love to see their players give it their all. And what I mean by that is like day in, day out, you grinding. And it didn't seem to me like Ben Simmons put a lot of work into his game in the offseason. He's like the same player he was the first day that he arrived in Philadelphia to now. You know what he can do, right? He's a versatile defender. He's a 6'10" point guard that can put the ball on the deck, can make the right passes. But how did you expand your game over that time? And I think that is what frustrated the fans more. Like, even for you to attempt a jump shot, I don't even think they would be mad at him if he tried to attempt a jump shot. But the fact that you're so stubborn that you won't even attempt a jump shot and try to make things work, I think that is what pisses fans off, right? You see Allen Iverson, like good, bad, and ugly, they stayed with him. Donovan McNabb, good, bad, ugly, they stayed with him, right? They're very loyal fans. So I think what the breaking point was like, bro, you didn't even try. Like, bro, try. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I have to say about the fans of Philadelphia. And I think that they love their teams. And they're really hard on their players, but they love them. Nobody else can talk bad about their teams but Philadelphia fans. Like that. Just keep that a stat. Outside of that, when it comes to Ben Simmons, I feel like he's a solid player, but a superstar and forcing your way out, that's not you, bro. You don't have that leverage. Like James Harden had that leverage because he was an MVP. You know what I mean? James Harden had that leverage because he was a 3-time, scoring champ. Right? He's a bona fide superstar with success in the playoffs by himself to carry a team. There's no proof or evidence that Ben Simmons can carry a team. There's no proof or evidence that Ben Simmons can even be an MVP caliber player. So when you talk about leverage, you don't really have that much leverage in this situation. Philadelphia has the leverage, right? Philadelphia has the leverage to trade you for whatever they want to trade and where they want you to trade now, because a lot of the teams are backing out based off of the prices that Philly is asking for. So now it's like slim pickings. I even heard that Sacramento backed out of a trade for Ben Simmons. Sacramento. That shows you the trade market. Like, this is the asking price for and what he thinks that his value is not there, obviously, based on what I'm hearing about the trade talks that's going on. So you might see Ben Simmons on the roster beginning of the season, but he's going to get, I believe he's going to get traded one way or another.
Man, I definitely see what you're saying. I think the issue with Sacramento, from what I heard, is that Philadelphia wants either Halliburton or De'Aaron Fox back in return, and I just think they're not willing to do that. And Ben Simmons has to play his value back up again.
That's the problem, and that's the biggest thing with trading Ben Simmons. If I'm Philly, I want an all-star caliber player, a young all-star caliber player for my young all-star caliber player, or package of potential young all-star caliber players for my already proven all-star caliber player. The problem on the other end is, if I'm any other team, it seems like I've seen your all-star caliber players ceiling. And it's not, even if it's better than what a De'Aaron Fox or even a Halliburton is doing now, it's not better than the ceiling that I project for them. So he doesn't bring that type of value to my team. And that's across the board. I don't see where he goes. And at the one position, playing the one, he makes a team that much better if they got rid of their number 2 player. Maybe Washington, but even there, I'll take Spencer Dinwiddie and the rest of those guys than trading Spencer and probably Kuzma and probably Harold or maybe a pick for Ben Simmons. I don't think it helps me. And it's gonna be really tough this season. I know last year I said James Harden can't be moved, and I was dead wrong about that. So I'll reserve judgment this time. But if I was a betting man in this situation, Simmons gonna have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. Like you said, right? You got to bring that. You got to bring that trade value back up. Next, can't believe it or not situation, and I really actually can't believe this one. Y'all heard of Bishop Sycamore? Bishop Sycamore somehow, some way, it's not even real. It's not. I want to say a school in Ohio, but it's not a school in Ohio. It's a facility in Ohio that was able to fraud their way up the ladder to actually having ESPN broadcast one of their games. In this broadcast, they were trampled by IMG Academy 58-0, I believe.
Demolished.
58 zip. And as the story went around and people watched the game, and social media is not to be played with in this generation. People started doing their research, started looking things up. They noticed that the team had played 2 games in 3 days, which is definitely not a high school thing to do ever. The head coach had a warrant out for fraud. The school wasn't real. Ohio's high school or athletic committee doesn't recognize the school whatsoever. It was only like 35 players on the sideline. So can you guys believe this? You guys believe that ESPN actually got duped like this?
The address.
What's your takeaways from this fiasco?
My takeaway is when we talk about ultimate ringers, that team was the ultimate ringers. They had guys that was on that team that was 30. Now, as a grown man, how does it feel to get your ass bust by an 18-year-old and you 30 getting beat by 18-year-olds 58-0? That has been the most hilarious thing ever. And on top of that, I played on
semi-pro teams. That 30 is just the linemen. It really be the old line. So them old linemen get cooked by the young boys.
Getting smoking their boots. Smoking their boots. So my takeaway from that is anything is possible. If you got a dream, go for it. It's never too late. Nah, but
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
But it's embarrassing. I mean, this is really embarrassing. I feel like this is a classic case of trying to relive your dream that you never made. I feel like that's a classic case of that, and they actually went through with that. The high school was a residential address. The stories that I heard about the high school was crazy. How they did their recruitment. They told them that they was going to be on Netflix. They told them that they was going to have a short film made of them. They showed that they had to rob, and the players had to rob and steal from Kroger's to get their meals.
Right.
It's kind of crazy, bro. Like, so if anything, there should be a documentary. I definitely believe I want to hear about that documentary. If they're doing a documentary on Dennis Rodman going to Vegas, they gotta do a documentary on Sycamore. And that's going to be a 30 for 30.
And this is the Fire Festival of football team. I don't know how this happened. IMG is definitely one of the most legit sporting academies in America.
I think get IMG.
That's what I'm trying. That's the thing that I'm like, how did IMG agree to this?
They didn't get punched by no scrubs.
Like these all types of athletes.
D1.
He's legit who are trying to go JUCO, D1, D2, like legit 3, 4, 5-star players. Like, so I don't know how it happened. I'm like you said, Ty, social media was all over this. They showed the coach, he was drinking the juice, and now I'm just like, but yeah, it's definitely an embarrassment to just all around. I think IMG's players kind of are the winners of this, where it's just like, I played against grown men and whooped their tail. But I'm at a loss of words for this one. I can't believe it.
It's funny. It reminds me of when I played semi-pro football, and we were junior pro, but we would so we were 17 to 21 junior semi whatever. We were 17 to 21, and we would play against semi-pro teams. and I had this dude on my team, Molly. He was the safety, and the tight end on the other team, he's about 30. Comes across the middle. Molly's 18 years old, and he smokes him. Bow! And Molly hops up and points to the ref like, "Yo, he hurt. Over there, he hurt. He hurt." And sure enough, Molly over the crowd. Like, the game, the sport is the sport. Who's good at it will prevail. The better team will win. I think it's crazy that they were able to make it this far. I want all the back. I want, like John said, I need a 30 for 30. I want all the backstory. Because he may have told them Netflix, and bruh, he was on his way. He got him on ESPN. Like, when he goes back in that locker room and it's 58 zip, and they all looking at each other like, damn, we really ain't making it to the league. Like, hey, man, I got y'all. Look,
ESPN.
They said we couldn't do it. IMG is one of the best schools in the nation.
Moral victories.
IMG, right? Moral victories.
Immoral victories.
The world's gonna come crashing down. The world's gonna come crashing down for him. I think the money in it will be telling the stories to whoever would want to listen. Their football careers are probably even more damaged than it was before. It's sad, but at the same time, it was definitely entertaining. Shout out to ESPN for getting punked. Shout out to IMG Academy for getting punked too. And like you said, John, at the end of the day, it looks stupid, but wow, if you got a dream, you got a dream, bro.
Anything's possible.
But I think we are out of time, so we're gonna have to chop it up. We're gonna have to roll up the next. Can't believe it or not. The good thing about it is we're talking about Ohtani for the Los Angeles Angels. He's wilding. Luckily, they still got a month left to play. He might be breaking some records for the Angels all time. He's also pitching 8-1, 3 ERA. It's nasty out here for him. So hopefully we can get some time in for him next time. But until next time, please, please, please like, follow, subscribe to us on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. 3 The Hallway, 3THW the podcast. On Spotify. We out here. Check us out tomorrow. We're gonna go live talking about a specific basketball team. You'll find out which one if you see us on Instagram. So until then, for John, for Just John, for Ridley Hunter, and for Tariq Rashad, it's 3 The Hallway.